Hello, good afternoon, Heatherash. How are you doing?
Good, thank you, Lilu. How are you?
Good, good. And it's good to have you on Skype. I stumbled across your YouTube videos. I absolutely love it. You teach all around the world. You've worked with Don Miguel Ruiz. I'm so excited that you'll be able to share here on this TV show and soul session what is our intent. We can maybe speak about sexual integrity, and so there's so much that you can share with us. But I would first love to talk about intent. What is an intent? What is an intent?
An intent is when you get completely focused on what you want, when you let go of the doubt, when you let go of the, well, maybe I want this and maybe I want that, and you bring 100% of yourself forward and align with that line of energies that says, yes, this is what I want. And you put 100% of yourself behind that and connect that to the universe. I loved what Don Miguel used to say to us is plant a seed. You're planting a seed in the universe. What most people I've seen don't understand about intent, one of the places that I love teaching people about is to recognize when you set an intent and you say, hey, universe, I'm ready to make this change, and you put that energy out. What the universe does with it is says, great, okay, if you want to manifest this intent, then here are the things that need to be cleared out of the way. So sometimes people will set really strong intent, then they'll forget about it. And then something will arise in their life and they'll say, well, why did this happen? But it's happening precisely because that's the thing that needs to be cleared out of the way. If you're not manifesting the intent immediately, it means there's a belief system or there's obstacles internally that will manifest externally. And when you attend to them, when you clean them up and you keep that joy in your heart and that knowing, yes, I will get where I'm going, then you can clear those up and then your intent will manifest.
So it's actually quite normal when we put an intent out there to encounter those blocks. It's something that we should welcome and something that we should expect.
Yes, and actually be excited about. It's one of the things I really teach people. I've been doing this wonderful little radio show called The Pixie Solution, and my nickname's Pixie. And the Pixie energy is all about, yay, look what arose, look what obstacle arose. Because when you get through that obstacle, you're going to get your intent. But if you hit an obstacle and you just crumble and go, oh, I can't do it, it's too much, it's too hard, it's too difficult, then that's where we stop ourselves. But if you hit an obstacle and go, yes, okay, I am bigger than you are, and we get big as the obstacle, because all an obstacle is energy. It's energy that we've locked into something, and all we need to do to move through an obstacle is have as much energy or more energy than the obstacle. So sometimes it's just recognizing that and getting bigger, and boom, we can move through it. And other times it takes more time because we've invested a lot of energy in a belief system or an agreement. And it takes us a little bit longer to undo the structures we've created.
So it doesn't mean that we're not meant to fulfill that intent.
Right. It doesn't mean we're not meant exactly, or that we're doing being punished. We have all sorts of weird ideas of what it means when an obstacle arises, and for us to recognize all it means is that this needs to be cleared out of the way. Hold your intent and clear this up, and keep the attention on the intent while you're clearing out what doesn't serve. So I really support people when they write it, when they create intents, to write it down. So you're very clear. Today I set this in motion, and then you go, okay, what's going to rise? Let's see what's going to show up to be cleared out of the way.
So how do you clear that out of the way?
Many tools that I've worked with over the years, and I love going to different traditions and gathering what works, what's practical. So one of the main tools that I work with is a practice called recapitulation, which is a Toltec practice of going back through your life and reclaiming energy you've lost in the past. That's one beautiful tool. Another one is Ho'oponopono, which is a fabulous, from Hawaii. I think a lot of people have heard about it. Very simple, four-word prayer, basically, that helps to clear the energy. And it's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And that's being said to spirit. And it's not about, I'm sorry I did something wrong, but it's, I'm sorry that I've created this obstacle inside of me. Help me to. So that's another one. Simply awareness. Becoming aware of the obstacle and then beginning to track, where did it come from? So where's the belief? And many times when we look at the belief system, when we become aware and we're willing to see, what am I believing? If this is the obstacle, if this is what's presenting itself, what's in the way? And what might I believe? Simply by tracking it back, we can begin to pull it apart. And a lot of times the obstacles, they get all crunched together. And it's a lot of belief systems making this big knot, so it seems really overwhelming. But if you're patient, I think about it as brushing the hair of a child. You start brushing really slowly, you start to separate the strands out, then you'll start to see, oh, there's my agreement of I don't deserve. And here's my agreement around if I get bigger in the world, people won't like me. And so then you can attend to each of those different agreements. And one beautiful way is to start running experiments. So if you have an agreement, if I get too big, no one's going to like me, you do something that goes against that agreement. So if you're afraid to go to parties, let's say, because you realize you're nervous to go to parties and meet new people, well, then I would say, guess what? Go to a party and meet new people and start to break the places where you have habitual, so that you can show yourself, look, it's easy. And sometimes, as I said before, sometimes breaking those are simple. You do one experiment and boom, it's broken. And other times it takes a lot longer. It's a great story of my husband, Raven, who was in the process of unweaving some old agreements. And it was around being attractive or not. And this was a long time ago. And what he started doing is he wanted to start to date women, but he was really scared to approach women. And so he started with very simple experiment. Ask one woman a day what time it is. Mm-hmm. And that was the experiment. And that was the action. And he said the first time he did it, he was terrified, like, oh, this is so hard. But after a while, it got easier. And he started realizing people weren't running away screaming. And he was able to then get clearer with recognizing, oh, his agreement that he wasn't attractive wasn't true. So, but it took little baby steps.
Part of our healing, we have to decide and make a conscious decision and give ourselves permission for that healing to take place. That seems to be the first step, the main step.
Yes, the willingness for the possibility of healing to be there, absolutely. And the willingness to take action to go against the old structures. And one of the main places we keep ourselves small is by judging ourselves and by comparing ourselves to other people or to who we think we should be. So that, just changing that matrix internally is like 50%.
And until we really go deeply into this healing, it doesn't mean for a long time, but really willing to do it, it keeps on popping up, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does. And that the popping up it's just, I see it as it's coming back going, hello, remember me? It's not healed yet.
And you thought it was.
And you thought it was, but okay, next round.
So you've learned a lot from Don Miguel Ruiz, haven't you? You actually teach the Toltecs, the powerful wisdom of the healing of the Toltecs, I guess?
Yeah, I studied with Don Miguel since 1994 and studied and traveled and taught with him all over the world. So I was very, very blessed to work with him. He's truly an amazing human being.
Apparently, I was interviewing last week Maud Séjournant that also worked with him a lot, and truly an amazing man from the heart, man of the heart.
Yes, he is.
And
he is.
What did you mainly learn from him that you teach now?
One of the main things is that place of unconditional love for self, of letting go and rewiring ourselves and the fear, and learning to come back into our natural state. So that was a huge piece from him, is that there's nothing wrong. It's simply we've forgotten our natural state, and there's all these other things that have been piled on top of it. And as we let go of what's not us, as we let go of the things we believe we're supposed to be, that we find that sense of peace again, and that sense of inner center that is just an innate part of us. Nobody's broken, nobody's not fixable, nobody's so damaged that they can't find that healing. It's who we are, and it's just been covered up. So that was one of the main beautiful lessons.
And you wrote a book, The Four Changes, The Four Life Changes?
The Four Elements of Change.
Four Elements of Change.
And it's about creating a new structure. One of the things I noticed from working with the community that was around Don Miguel is that we were all very intent in making changes in our life and undoing the old structures of who we thought we were. And it sometimes got really challenging. People had a sense of real strong loss of self and confusion. And I watched people take structures apart and then put them back together again. So I started studying myself and my students and my peers and saying, okay, how can we make this easier? And what I recognized is whenever we go to make change, whether that change put it into motion, or the change is external, something's happened, we've lost our job, or we've changed the nature of a relationship, anything that shifts, that we can support ourselves by creating a new conscious structure to hold ourselves within. And that structure, I chose to use the four elements, because those elements, air, fire, water, and earth, are the four building blocks of material creation, of life. So I see them as the manifestations of the divine, the manifestations of God, because without air, fire, water, or earth, we're missing just one of those elements, there'd be no life.
Yeah, but some of us have more fire, some others have more water. So do we need a bit of all elements, or can
it's
we
helpful
be okay
to
without?
Balance. It's very helpful to balance those elements within us, to recognize we'll have more of one or two elements, but the places where we're weak, we can supplement. We can start to pull those energies in.
How do you do that? Do you do that by going to some particular directions or places, or if you're not as fire, spend some time in front of a fireplace? I mean, do you need to be in contact with that element, or is there actually a particular position or things that you can do?
One great thing, like you're saying, is to be in contact with the element. So if you notice that you don't have a lot of, you're a little bit scared of, to then spend time in water, to really get to know what is that quality of water. And each of those elements is associated with an aspect of ourself. And so that can sometimes give us a lot of information. So air is associated with the mental being, with our mind. Fire is associated with the energetic being, water with the emotional being, and earth with the physical being. So sometimes those correlate, and we can attend to, I need to bring more attention to my physical body. So by calling all of those aspects of yourself in, you can come back into wholeness. And often, I've seen a lot of this with Westerners, that we have a tendency to not want to experience our emotional body. And there's a lot of healing that needs to happen in that area. So by embracing all of it, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the energetic, we learn to have compassion for all the different aspects of ourselves. Yeah, and I encourage people to visualize. Visualization is so powerful, using the imagination. So to imagine a new container of a circle, of any type of circle, stones, or a clearing in the grass, or any types of drawing a circle of salt, that you visualize yourself sitting in the middle of it, and that you can call in each of those elements in the different directions. And so those hold you. Feel that that's your new structure, is the power of those elements and the integrity of your mind, emotions, physical, and energetic that's already there. So that you say, this is my integrity, this represents my integrity. And then you can start to take the structure apart, knowing that you're held in a bigger container.
So do we tend to attract in a relationship people that have elements that are compatible to ours, or?
A lot of times we'll attract, when we're unconscious, we'll attract people that have an element we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go, oh, they, I love them because they have this missing piece. But the truth is we're wanting to bring that into ourselves. And if we just keep thinking it's out there, then it's going to create challenges in our relationships. But when we recognize, ooh, I like that, that's something I need more of, and use people as reflections, then we can learn to cultivate that energy inside of ourselves.
So let's talk now about this sexual integrity. What do you mean by that? Because you have a wonderful video, and I'll post a link from this video so that the viewers can see that. But what do you mean by sexual integrity?
Sexual integrity is when we come back